silenced by your chains. I know that's kind of an odd title to have a paper and so forth in front of you, but if you're there, you could kind of follow along with me, and I'll try to give you my ideas and how I came up with this. In that, thinking somewhere along the lines, I've forgotten how this started, but anyway, I was thinking about Paul and all the adversity he went through. If we start with visions of the past and remembering the term chain letter, I guess that would be an understatement with all the letters that Paul wrote. But it brought me to this subject. Why did this thing come to me in a thought when I heard about the letters of Paul? Well, maybe we should look around at a miracle, and one of the miracles Jesus is showing us. In the time Paul did some of his best work for God, he was in chains. Many of Paul's most impactful letters, which form a significant portion, in fact, of the New Testament, were written while he was in prison. In chains, Paul penned the epistles that continue to inspire and encourage and guide the believers to this day. His letter to the Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Philemon were all written during his imprisonment in Rome. Paul's circumstances were dire, that's for sure. But he was under constant guard. His freedom was severely restricted, and his future was certainly uncertain. Yet it was in the very environment of adversity that God used Paul mightily. Instead of being silenced by his chains, Paul's voice was amplified through his writings, reaching far beyond the confines of a prison cell and spanning many generations as we're listening to this now. In Philippians 1:12 through 14, now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it's become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I'm in chains for Christ. Think about that again. In chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. No matter how challenging, we can serve a greater purpose in God's plan. His chains became a tool for the advancement of the gospel. The perspective changes our understanding of adversity. Rather than seeing the difficulties and obstacles, we can view them as opportunities for God to work through us in profound ways. Here again is one of the ways I think that Jesus always reminds us that it's not about us. It's about him. And we see things in front of us. He sees things way beyond in the spiritual realm. How often do we feel imprisoned by our own circumstances, whether it's a difficult job or a strained relationship or a personal struggle? We can feel trapped and powerless at times. Boy, I sure have. Yet Paul's example teaches us that our chains, whatever they may be, do not hinder God from working, but can actually facilitate it. In times of adversity, we can cling to the promise that God is always at work. He's not limited by our limitations, just as he used Paul's imprisonment to spread the gospel. He can use our trials to accomplish his purposes. The realization shifts our focus from our problems to God's presence and power. It's always in the midst of them. So do not let your feelings, your faith, your walk with Jesus be silenced by your chains.